It was a question that had plagued Earth's leaders for centuries. Why was Earth, despite its rapidly growing technology and advanced civilization, never invited to join the Galactic Council? Other planets, many with far less technological progress, had been granted seats, their leaders welcomed into the folds of the galaxy's most powerful alliance. But Earth was always ignored. The seat reserved for humanity remained empty. The Galactic Council was an institution that governed much of the galaxy. It was an assembly of the most powerful species, a body of ancient civilizations, each with its own secrets, power, and history. It made decisions that affected not just individual planets, but entire star systems. If Earth could gain entry, it would mean protection, advanced technologies, and a place in the galaxy's future. But despite humanity's rise, the Council's doors were always shut. Elena Torres, a high-ranking member of Earth's diplomatic team, stood at the window of her office, looking out at the endless night sky. The stars seemed so distant, so unreachable, yet she knew that beyond them, in the vastness of space, was the Council. And for some reason, Earth had been kept out. Her mind raced as she replayed the conversations of the past week. Earth had recently made an unexpected breakthrough in its space program, developing new technologies that far surpassed even their own expectations. The first human-designed spaceship capable of interstellar travel was nearing completion, and humanity's first attempt to reach beyond their solar system was fast approaching. Elena thought that, surely, now was the time. Now, Earth would be able to prove itself. But the galactic silence remained. Despite multiple attempts by Earth's government to communicate, the Galactic Council had yet to offer even a single response. It felt as if the galaxy was ignoring them. And the longer this went on, the more Elena began to wonder, was there something darker at play? In the meeting room, the tension among the council members was palpable. Earth's government had assembled their best minds, scientists, diplomats, and military strategists, all eager to understand why Earth was being overlooked. Elena addressed the group with a calm but heavy voice. "We have everything we need. Our technology is advancing. We have powerful resources. We're ready for the next step. But still, nothing. Not even a response. Why?" she asked, turning to the head of the Earth Science Council, Dr. Julian Ward. Dr. Ward rubbed his tired eyes, as if burdened by an answer he couldn't bring himself to share. "There's something we've missed," he said quietly. "For decades, we've tried to understand the Council's policies and priorities. But one thing remains constant. Earth has never been given a seat. And I don't think it's because we don't have enough to offer. I think it's because they fear us." The room fell silent. Fear. The word hung in the air, its weight felt by every person present. "What do you mean, they fear us?" Elena asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Dr. Ward glanced around the room before continuing. "What if Earth has something so powerful, so dangerous, that the Galactic Council is afraid to allow us in? What if they know something we don't? Something that makes us a threat, even though we don't understand why?" The thought sent a shiver down Elena's spine. Could it be possible? Was humanity's potential so great that it threatened the very balance of power in the galaxy? "The missing seat isn't an accident," Dr. Ward continued. "The Council's refusal to even acknowledge us, despite our advancements, is not a slight. It's deliberate. They've kept us isolated, and they've done so for a reason." The room grew colder. The idea that the galaxy's leaders were afraid of Earth, of humans, was both terrifying and unsettling. Elena could not shake the feeling that they were on the verge of discovering something huge, something that could change everything. Elena pressed on. "What could possibly be so dangerous about us? We're just a young species, barely out of our solar system. Why would they fear us?" Dr. Ward's face grew pale. "Because we've uncovered something ancient, that they didn't want us to find. And it's tied to Earth's very history, a secret that could shake the foundation of the entire galaxy." Before Elena could respond, the door to the conference room slid open. A young officer stepped in, holding a small metallic device in his hand. He walked straight to Elena, his face grave. "Madam, we've intercepted a transmission. It's not from any known species in the galaxy. It's human," the officer said, his voice shaking with excitement and fear. Elena took the device from him, her heart racing. She pressed a button, and a holographic image flickered to life in the center of the room. The transmission was old, older than any Earth technology. The message was brief, but its meaning was clear. "You were never meant to find this. The Council is watching. Do not seek the truth. It will only lead to destruction." The room was frozen in shock. The words echoed in Elena's mind. What did this mean? Who had sent this warning, and why? Was the message connected to the ancient secret Dr. Ward had mentioned? The tension in the room was unbearable. The search for answers was no longer just about understanding the Council's refusal. It was about uncovering a hidden truth that could change the fate of Earth and the entire galaxy forever. Elena's mind raced. She felt as if they had just uncovered the first piece of a much larger puzzle, one that could lead to Earth's salvation or its destruction. The more they uncovered, the more questions arose. Who was watching? And what secret had Earth uncovered that made the galaxy's most powerful civilizations tremble? As Elena looked out at the stars once more, she knew one thing for certain. The empty seat at the Galactic Council wasn't a mystery they could ignore any longer. Whatever lay ahead, Earth was now on the brink of discovering the terrifying truth about its place in the galaxy. And that truth could change everything. Elena's mind raced as the encrypted message lingered in the air. Who could have sent it? And why had it been hidden for so long? The more she thought about it, the clearer it became that the truth, whatever it was, had been deliberately concealed from humanity. It was as though the galaxy's most powerful beings feared what Earth might uncover if it was given the chance to explore the deeper reaches of space. She couldn't shake the feeling that the message was just the beginning of something far bigger. As she and her team worked to analyze the transmission, they found more unsettling details buried in the data. The message was ancient, far older than anything Earth had ever encountered, and its origins were impossible to trace. It had somehow slipped through the cracks of galactic security, finding its way to Earth's communication systems, a message from a time long before humanity's first steps into the stars. But what really struck Elena was the tone of the warning. Do not seek the truth. It will only lead to destruction. There was something about the words that made her skin crawl. She couldn't ignore the implication that whoever had sent this message had the power to stop Earth from uncovering what lay beneath its own surface. The question, though, was why? Why go through such lengths to keep Earth in the dark? And what was it about Earth that had caused the galaxy to treat it as a threat, even though humanity had barely ventured beyond its homeworld? In the coming days, Elena found herself digging deeper into Earth's forgotten history. She spoke with the planet's top archaeologists, historians, and scientists, hoping to piece together some kind of clue that would explain the warning. And as she sifted through ancient records, one thing became clear. Earth had been involved in something far greater than anyone could have imagined. Before humans had even discovered the stars, Earth had been part of a much older and more powerful galactic civilization, one that had since vanished without a trace. The more Elena uncovered, the more she realized that humanity's history had been deliberately erased. There were no records, no mention of this ancient civilization in the textbooks, only scattered myths and rumors. Rumors of a great war that had once consumed the galaxy, of a force so powerful it had reshaped the very fabric of space and time. And in the center of it all was Earth, a planet that had once been home to beings whose power could have rivaled even the most advanced species in the galaxy. As Elena stood in the quiet room, reading through the last of the ancient texts, a chilling realization dawned on her. Earth's history was not one of peace or advancement, but of something much darker. The legends spoke of a force, a power hidden beneath the planet's surface, one that could be awakened under the right conditions. And now, with Earth's rapid technological progress and its discovery of advanced space travel, that power might soon be unleashed. But no one, except for a few old civilizations, knew the true extent of this power. Was it possible that the reason Earth had been kept from joining the Galactic Council wasn't because of its lack of technological development, but because the galaxy knew that humanity had inherited something dangerous, something that, if provoked, could tip the balance of power in the universe? Alina's thoughts swirled with confusion and dread. She knew that whatever the galaxy's leaders feared, it wasn't a simple matter of Earth's survival. It was something much greater, something that could change the course of the galaxy itself. The Galactic Council, in its attempt to protect the galaxy, had isolated Earth for a reason. And now, that secret was beginning to surface. Desperation began to set in. Alina understood that if the truth were revealed, there would be no going back. Earth might be thrust into a war with the very entities that had kept it in the dark for so long. There was no telling how the galaxy would react once it learned what humanity had discovered. And if the Council's suspicions were true, if Earth was sitting on the very force that could either save or destroy the galaxy, then they were playing a dangerous game, one that could have unimaginable consequences for every living being in the universe. But Alina had no choice. The truth had to come out. Earth had to know what it was dealing with, no matter the risk. She gathered her team and prepared to take the next step, hoping that the answers they were about to uncover would be worth the chaos they might unleash. As they began their search, Alina couldn't help but wonder if they were on the verge of discovering a power so immense that even the Galactic Council's combined forces might not be able to stop it. There was no turning back now. The empty seat in the Galactic Council wasn't a mystery to solve. It was a ticking time bomb, and humanity had just started to unravel the fuse. As Alina continued to delve deeper into the mystery surrounding Earth's missing seat in the Galactic Council, she began to realize that the answers they were seeking might not be found within the galaxy at all. In her search for the truth, she stumbled upon an old, cryptic artifact, an object that seemed to resonate with a strange, otherworldly energy. It was buried deep within Earth's forgotten vaults, a relic from a time long before humans had even begun their journey into space. The artifact was unlike anything humanity had ever encountered. Its material was not of any known composition, and its purpose remained unclear. But one thing was certain: it was connected to Earth's past, to the ancient civilizations that had once called the planet home. Alina and her team began to study it, hoping it would lead them to the answers they desperately needed. But the more they examined it, the more they realized how little they truly understood. The artifact seemed to hold a power beyond their comprehension, and it was as if it were calling to something deep within the planet itself. Alina's growing unease only intensified as she learned that this artifact was not an isolated relic. There were others, scattered across the globe, hidden away in places where no one had thought to look. Some were buried beneath the oceans, while others were hidden in the ruins of ancient cities, long forgotten by time. Together, they formed a map to something far greater than any of them could imagine. Despite the risks, Alina felt an overwhelming need to follow this trail. The artifact's presence, its energy, seemed to unlock something deep inside her. An instinct, a pull toward something vast and dangerous. It was as though the galaxy's leaders knew something that Earth hadn't even begun to understand about itself. And now, with the discovery of these artifacts, humanity was on the cusp of awakening a power that had been sealed away for eons. But the deeper Alina dug, the more questions arose. Why had these artifacts been hidden? And why did they seem to resonate with such intense energy now? Had someone from the Council, perhaps placed them there to ensure humanity would never uncover their secrets? Or had they been left behind by a long-dead civilization, a warning to future generations? The more Alina pondered these questions, the more she began to connect the dots. The Galactic Council's refusal to invite Earth wasn't just about the planet's current state. It was about something far older, something hidden beneath the surface. There was a truth buried deep within Earth itself, and the galaxy was terrified of what would happen if humanity ever found it. As Elena's investigation continued, the pieces of the puzzle began to fall into place. She discovered that the Council's leaders had known about these artifacts for centuries, and they had taken extreme measures to prevent Earth from discovering their existence. But why? Why go to such lengths to keep this secret from humanity? And then the answer came. The artifact, along with the others, was a key to something immense, something that could either save or destroy the galaxy. Humanity, with its newfound technology and relentless curiosity, was on the brink of unlocking a power that had once been thought to be lost forever. The Council had kept Earth out not because they feared humanity's military strength or technological prowess, but because they feared what humans could awaken by stumbling upon the past. The past that held the key to an ancient, godlike power, a power that could alter the balance of the entire galaxy. The more Elena learned, the more she realized how small Earth truly was in the grand scheme of things. Humanity had spent so long looking outward, toward the stars, believing that the galaxy was vast and filled with infinite possibilities. But the truth was far darker. Earth was not just another species in the galaxy. It was the key to something far greater. And once humanity unlocked this power, there would be no turning back. As the days passed, Elena and her team found themselves on the edge of a discovery that could alter the very fabric of reality. They were no longer just searching for answers about Earth's past. They were about to uncover a truth so terrifying that it would shatter the entire foundation of the galaxy. Earth's empty seat in the Galactic Council wasn't just an oversight. It was a deliberate act, a cautionary measure taken by the galaxy's most powerful beings to prevent humanity from unlocking a secret that could destroy them all. But now it was too late. The power had already begun to stir, and Earth was no longer the passive observer it once was. They were about to become active players in a game far larger than they could have ever imagined. A game with stakes that could determine the fate of the entire galaxy. And Elena knew that the moment they uncovered the full truth, there would be no going back. The galaxy had been keeping secrets from Earth for centuries. But Earth was about to find out what those secrets were, and whether it could survive the revelation. As the search for answers deepened, Elena's team began to realize that their journey was not just about understanding Earth's forgotten past, but about uncovering the dangerous ramifications of their discovery. The artifacts they had uncovered, with their alien technology and mysterious energy, were not merely relics of a long-dead civilization. They were the remnants of a catastrophic event, an event that had nearly destroyed the entire galaxy. The more Elena examined the artifacts, the clearer it became that the hidden power they contained was not just a tool for advancing technology. It was something far more destructive, something that could annihilate entire star systems, bend the fabric of space-time, and even alter the very laws of physics. These ancient devices, scattered across Earth and left undisturbed for centuries, held the key to a force that was far beyond anything humanity had ever encountered. Elena couldn't ignore the implications. The Galactic Council had known about these artifacts for millennia, but they had kept them hidden from Earth. Why? The answer was becoming increasingly obvious. The galaxy's leaders feared what would happen if humans were to awaken this dormant power. Earth's empty seat at the Council was no mistake. It was a deliberate act of isolation, a safeguard to ensure that humanity remained in the dark about its true potential. But now that the artifacts were being discovered, the Council's worst fears were about to come true. Humanity, through sheer curiosity and the unyielding drive for knowledge, had begun to tap into something that should never have been touched. The Council had warned humanity through the transmission, urging them to stop their search, but it was already too late. The secrets of Earth's past had been uncovered, and the galaxy would have to face the consequences. Elena's team had found the first of the key artifacts, but they were far from finished. They had decoded part of the map hidden in the relics, a map that would lead them to the heart of the power source. They discovered that deep beneath the Earth's surface, hidden in an ancient city buried under miles of rock and debris, was a massive structure, a machine, or perhaps a weapon, built by a civilization far more advanced than any known species in the galaxy. And it was still active, still pulsing with energy. The very existence of this machine was proof of Earth's significance. It wasn't just that humanity was the forgotten link in the galactic chain. It was that Earth had once been a central figure in a long-lost empire, an empire that, according to the most ancient texts, had been destroyed because its creators had sought to harness the power of the artifacts. The power of creation and destruction in one. As Elena and her team prepared to make their way to the site of the machine, they received an unexpected visitor, a representative of the Galactic Council. It wasn't a diplomat or an ambassador, as they had expected, but a shadowy figure whose identity remained hidden behind a veil of advanced technology. His presence was enough to send a wave of unease through the room. "We've been watching," the figure said, his voice calm, yet filled with an eerie sense of finality. "And we warned you to stop. But now that you've found it, there's no going back. Do you understand what you've done?" Elena felt a chill run through her. The figure's tone wasn't one of a friendly diplomat. It was the voice of someone who had already lost control of the situation, and now sought only to prevent what was inevitable. "We're just trying to understand," Elena replied, her voice steady despite the fear building inside her. "Understand the artifacts. Understand our place in all of this." The figure let out a low, disapproving sigh. "You don't understand. You were never meant to. The artifacts, the power beneath your planet, it's something that has the potential to destroy everything. It's an ancient power, one that no one in the galaxy can control, not even the Council. The reason Earth's seat has remained empty is because you have the power to reset the balance of the entire galaxy. The Council cannot risk you finding it." "Then why are you here?" Elena demanded, her eyes narrowing. "If we're such a threat, why not stop us now?" "Because it's already too late," the figure replied, a cold edge to his voice. "The machine under your feet is waking up, and there's nothing we can do to stop it anymore. The power that lies beneath Earth was never meant to be unleashed, but you've activated it. Now, the galaxy will feel the consequences." The words hung in the air, thick with impending doom. Elena's heart pounded in her chest as she processed what the representative was saying. The Council had kept Earth isolated, not just to protect other civilizations, but because Earth itself held a dangerous secret. Humanity had been kept in the dark for so long because the galaxy had always feared what might happen if Earth ever discovered its true origins. And now that the planet was beginning to awaken the ancient power, the entire galaxy stood on the brink of chaos. Elena exchanged glances with her team. They had only just begun to scratch the surface, but now they were faced with the reality of their discovery. The very thing they had been seeking to understand could very well be the downfall of all they knew. The representative from the Council turned and walked away, his presence disappearing into the shadows of the room. But his words lingered. Elena had no more illusions about the situation. The power hidden beneath Earth was not just a forgotten piece of history. It was a weapon, and it was waking up. The galaxy had been right to fear it. With this realization, Elena knew the next step. The race was on. Not just to uncover the machine, but to find a way to control the power they had unleashed. They couldn't turn back now. The truth had been revealed, and the galaxy's fragile peace was about to be shattered. It was a terrifying thought, but Elena couldn't deny the urgency that burned within her. Earth had discovered its place in the galaxy, and now humanity would have to choose: to control the power that could save the galaxy, or to let it destroy everything they had ever known. The deeper Elena and her team ventured into the heart of Earth's ancient secrets, the more they realized the magnitude of the discovery they had set in motion. With the Council's ominous warning still echoing in her mind, Elena couldn't shake the thought that they were on the edge of something far beyond their control. The artifacts, the machine, the hidden power beneath the planet. It was all coming to a head, and there was no turning back. The team had gathered all the necessary equipment and resources they could muster. They were heading to the coordinates that had been slowly revealed by the artifact's strange energy, leading them to a massive underground complex, buried deep in the crust of Earth. It was an abandoned city, a city older than anything humanity had ever encountered, with architecture and technology that defied comprehension. The closer they got, the more they could feel the intensity of the energy pulsing from the ground. It was as if the planet itself was alive with the power of something ancient and untamed. As they descended deeper into the ruins, Alina couldn't help but wonder if the Council had been right. The further they traveled into the complex, the more oppressive the atmosphere became. The energy from the artifacts seemed to draw them closer to the center, as though they were all being led into the heart of the storm. And there, at the very center of the city, stood the machine, a colossal structure, a fusion of alien technology and something far more ancient, pulsing with the same energy that had been emanating from the artifacts. The machine stood in the center of an enormous chamber, its intricate design incomprehensible to human eyes. It was as if it were built to interface with the very fabric of reality itself, bending the laws of space and time. But despite its intimidating presence, it was dormant. For now. Alina and her team cautiously approached the machine, their every step reverberating through the hollow chamber. She felt a strange pull toward it, an almost magnetic force urging her forward. She couldn't ignore the sensation. It was as though the machine was waiting for them. The anticipation in the air was palpable. The answers they had been seeking were right in front of them. But they came with a warning. Unleash this power, and everything could change. The tension was broken when one of the team members, Dr. Harper, a physicist who had been studying the energy signatures from the artifacts, stepped forward. His hand hovered over the surface of the machine, and for a moment, nothing happened. But then, with a sudden surge of energy, the machine came to life. Lights flickered to life across the chamber, and the ground beneath them trembled. The low hum of the machine grew louder, reverberating through their bodies as if it were trying to communicate with them. And then, just as suddenly, the room was filled with a blinding light. Alina's heart raced, and she felt her mind being pulled in every direction at once. The machine was speaking to them, but its message was incomprehensible. Panic set in. The artifact in Alina's hand, a small, intricate piece of alien technology that they had been using to decode the secrets, began to glow in response. It was as if the artifacts were communicating with the machine, unlocking something that had been buried for eons. The energy was building rapidly, and Alina could feel the atmosphere shifting. The team was on the brink of unleashing something that could reshape the galaxy. Shut it down! Alina screamed, but her voice was drowned out by the deafening noise of the machine. It was too late to stop it now. They had crossed a threshold, and there was no going back. The power was awakening, and the galaxy was about to learn what Earth had been hiding for centuries. As the light intensified, Alina's vision blurred, and she felt herself losing control of her thoughts. The machine was opening a doorway, one that no one had ever dared to enter. Her pulse quickened as she realized what this meant. They weren't just unlocking a power from Earth's past. They were reaching into something far darker. The energy pouring from the machine was like a rift, a tear in the fabric of reality itself. The artifacts were not just keys to understanding Earth's history. They were keys to something much more dangerous. The machine's energy wasn't just an ancient power. It was a portal, a bridge between Earth and something that had once been lost to the galaxy, an ancient force capable of reshaping the universe. The images flooded Alina's mind. She saw flashes of long-forgotten battles, civilizations rising and falling, entire star systems consumed in fire. The force that had been sealed away beneath Earth was not just a relic of the past. It was a weapon that had been used before to devastate the galaxy. And now, Earth was awakening it. She snapped back to reality, her head spinning as she tried to make sense of what was happening. The machine was pulling energy from the very core of the planet, and the artifacts were fueling it. bringing the ancient power back to life. It was only a matter of time before the galaxy would feel the effects. Desperation gripped Elena. She couldn't let this power fall into the wrong hands. She couldn't allow the galaxy to repeat the mistakes of the past. The Council's warnings had been more than just a threat. They were a desperate plea for Earth to remain ignorant, to keep its seat empty, to ensure that humanity never had the power to unlock what lay beneath. But it was too late now. Earth had found its seat in the galaxy, not through diplomacy, not through alliances, but through the terrifying truth that humanity held the key to a force that no one could control. The question was no longer whether they could stop it. It was whether humanity, for all its flaws and ambitions, would survive what it had just unleashed. The galaxy would soon learn that the true power of Earth wasn't just in its seat, it was in its potential to change the universe forever. But the cost of that power could be more than anyone had bargained for. The future of the galaxy now rested in the hands of those who had dared to uncover the secrets of Earth's past. And as Elena stood before the machine, she realized that the next chapter was about to begin, not just for Earth, but for the entire galaxy. The blinding light from the machine began to dim, but the air was thick with energy. Elena and her team stood in stunned silence, the tremors from the machine still echoing in the walls of the ancient chamber. The ground beneath them continued to hum with a power that felt alive. Time seemed to slow as the full realization of what they had just triggered sank in. They had opened a door, but they weren't sure what lay on the other side. The machine, though seemingly dormant again, had revealed something far more terrifying than they could have imagined. The artifacts, once a mere curiosity, had now become conduits to a power that threatened the very fabric of reality itself. Elena could hear her heartbeat in her ears, thudding loudly in the oppressive silence that followed the awakening. But she wasn't sure if her own fear was the only thing she could hear. The weight of the situation was unbearable, and the consequences were far beyond anything they could have prepared for. "We have to shut it down," Dr. Harper whispered urgently, his face pale as he turned to Elena. His usual calm demeanor was gone, replaced by a visible terror that had only just begun to take root. "This could destroy everything. We don't understand what we're dealing with." Elena nodded, her mind racing. She knew Harper was right. The power the machine held could rewrite the rules of the universe, could undo the very structures of space and time. This wasn't just some long-lost relic. It was a weapon of unimaginable scale. Earth wasn't just a forgotten outpost in the galaxy. It was the cradle of an ancient force that had the potential to change everything. The problem was they didn't know how to shut it down. The artifact had been the key to activating the machine, but it hadn't given them any clues as to how to reverse the process. The map that had been embedded in the artifacts, the one they had painstakingly deciphered, was incomplete. There were still pieces missing, pieces that might hold the solution. But finding them now, with the galaxy's future hanging by a thread, seemed almost impossible. As the team scrambled to understand what they had unleashed, a strange vibration filled the air. It was as though the very structure of the planet was beginning to shift. The machine, dormant but pulsating, was sending ripples through Earth's core. And then, as if responding to their fear, the chamber began to tremble again, this time far more violently. "What is happening?" One of the other team members gasped, looking around in panic. Elena could feel the ground shaking beneath her feet. Her hand tightened around the artifact in her palm, as if it were the only tether left in the chaos. The machine was reacting to them, its energy increasing in intensity, the hum turning into a roar that rattled the walls. She could hear the distant echoes of an ancient voice, a low growl that reverberated through the chamber. The very air seemed to pulse with a force that defied comprehension. It was then that the shadows moved. Out of the darkened corners of the chamber, shapes began to form, humanoid figures, tall and imposing, their forms barely visible in the dim light. They were not human, nor were they alien in the way the galaxy was accustomed to. These beings were something older, something ancient, and they were coming toward them. Alina's breath caught in her throat. What are they? They're not supposed to be here, Dr. Harper whispered, his voice shaky. This is what the council feared. The Guardians. They were meant to protect the power, to keep it sealed away. The figures advanced with deliberate slowness, and it was clear they were no mere creatures of flesh and bone. These beings seemed to exist outside of time itself, manifestations of a force that had once governed the galaxy before it had been erased from history. The artifacts, the machine, the energy, it all connected back to them. They were the custodians of the ancient power buried beneath Earth. As the figures drew closer, Alina's mind flashed back to the warnings the Council had given. Do not awaken the Guardians. Do not disturb what lies beneath Earth. She hadn't understood what that meant at the time, but now, standing face to face with the entities that had once held dominion over this power, she understood the gravity of their situation. These Guardians were not just protectors. They were harbingers. They had been placed to ensure that no one could reach the power buried within the Earth, that no one could ever unleash what had once been used to nearly destroy the galaxy. We have to leave. Now. Alina shouted, panic surging through her. The Guardians were advancing faster now, and the very air seemed to crackle with energy. They were drawing closer to the machine, closer to the heart of the power. But it was already too late. With a sudden, explosive force, the machine activated once more, its energy surging outward in all directions. The room shook violently, and the Guardians let out a collective cry, a sound that sent a shiver down Alina's spine. The energy from the machine blasted outward, flooding the room, pushing everyone backward. The light from the machine flickered and pulsed, and Alina felt her very consciousness being pulled into the heart of the machine itself. Then, everything went dark. When Alina regained her senses, she was no longer in the chamber. The ground beneath her was soft, and the air smelled fresh. The hum of the machine had stopped, replaced by an eerie silence. Her team was scattered, some of them unconscious, others groaning in confusion as they slowly regained their bearings. The Guardians, it seemed, had vanished. But the machine had done something to them. The energy, the force, it had transported them. They were no longer in the ancient city, no longer even on Earth. Alina looked around in horror, and her breath caught in her throat. They were on a barren world, a world not unlike Earth, but more ancient, more desolate. And in the sky above, Alina saw something that made her heart stop. A massive structure, one unlike anything humanity had ever seen before. It was an artificial construct, so vast that it stretched across the horizon, a remnant of the ancient civilization that had once controlled this power. Alina's mind raced. The machine hadn't just activated, it had transported them to the source. They were standing in the heart of an ancient empire, the birthplace of the power they had unleashed. And the galaxy wasn't going to be able to ignore Earth's secret for much longer. The game had changed, and humanity had just become the center of a conflict that could unravel the very fabric of the galaxy.